Hi guys, and welcome to my video for the top 10 non-horror movies of 2019.
Everybody's a suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Wolfman's got Nards!
Firstly, I was contemplating actually not doing a video like this because I didn't see enough movies this year to really determine my very top 10. That's why I split it into the horror section for 2019. But when you take away all the horror movies, there's not that much left for me. I was concentrating on horror movies mostly this year in 2019, and there is quite a few movies that I haven't seen in 2019. So guys, as always, this is my opinion. Don't be offended by it at all. And if there is some amazing movies missed out, it could be either I didn't favourite or I just didn't see it. And at number 10 is Frozen 2. I was really surprised by this one, and I think what makes this movie better than it actually is the soundtrack. I know I'm an adult. I went to see this with my kids a few weeks ago and I really enjoyed it. I was actually smiling all the way through this movie. It's nowhere near as good as Frozen, and I think that it seems like a carbon copy of Frozen at times, with the way that the movie pans out, with the way and the timing where the songs come in as well. It seems like a lot of repetitive stuff was happening in this movie from what we saw in the first one as well. It is aimed mostly at kids, but even as an adult, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And at number 9 is Jumanji: The Next Level. This is another surprising movie for me. I really enjoyed the Welcome to the Jungle from 2 years ago. I didn't expect to like that as much as I did the first movie. The first movie is not a masterpiece, so there wasn't much to improve on, but Welcome to the Jungle was a really good movie and a solid entry into the Jumanji franchise. This one, just the same. I don't think I like this one as much as Welcome to the Jungle either, but at the same time I still had a lot of fun with it. It's a great family movie, a lot of action and a lot of comedy as well. At times I didn't really like how the characters were getting fleshed out, with The Rock being Danny DeVito's character. I thought that was a little annoying at times, but as the movie grew, we also grew into these characters as well, and at the end of the day it was a fun movie. And at number 8 is Toy Story 4. I feel like I'm repeating myself for a third time here. It is a kids movie mostly, and also it doesn't improve anything with what happened in Toy Story 3. I still think that Toy Story 3 would have been the perfect ending to a perfect trilogy, but I still again had a lot of fun with Toy Story 4. A little bit more darker at times, which is understandable because the kids who love Toy Story 3 are all a little bit grown up now, or you would imagine so, and so you expected a little bit more darkness in these movies. I like the Benson character that reminds us of Slappy, the Gabby Gabby, so there's a lot more characters in this one to like. In fact, I think this is the only Toy Story movie that I liked other characters better than the main characters like Buzz and Woody. I liked Duke Kaboom, I liked Gabby Gabby, I liked the Benson character. So all these new characters were fleshed out a little bit better, and I was rooting for those guys more than I was interested in Woody and Buzz. But again, Toy Story 4 was still a solid entry in the Toy Story franchise. And at number 7 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. Now this is one, even though it's number 7 on the list, I was a little bit disappointed in it. And when I say disappointed, I still enjoyed it. And I think it was still a little bit better than Homecoming. A lot of people praise Homecoming a lot more than it should get praised. I did like it. I preferred Far From Home, but it still had that missing element that the original Sam Raimi movies had. Yes, Sam Raimi's third movie wasn't the best, but Spider-Man 1 and 2 I had that connection with those characters, maybe those movies. Maybe it's because of the age I was at the time when they came out, but there still seems to be something missing from these Spider-Man movies, and I just can't quite pinpoint it. I prefer this Spider-Man and the Avengers movies more than in this one, but one thing I did like about this movie and the Homecoming movies is it does feel a little bit more like a teen romantic comedy, and I love all those John Hughes movies from the 80s, and it still feels like one of those kind of movies, and for that reason I think that Spider-Man Far From Home was a little bit better than I thought it would be. And at number 6 is Uncut Gems. This is the latest one that reached it onto the top 10, and I wasn't surprised by this film because I did hear a lot of good things about it, especially with the acting of Adam Sandler. I already knew that Adam Sandler was a good actor. He does a lot of terrible movies every year, and that's the kind of movies that he likes to do, mostly for kids, and that's it. But there are times that Adam Sandler is really good. For example, Reign Over Me and Punch Drunk Love, two of his best performances of his entire career. out with all the comedy, and this one adds to that. Uncut Gems is a fantastic film. Even when you take away Adam Sandler's acting in this film, it's just non-stop. Something's always happening, somebody's in trouble, there's money getting owed, we're worried about these diamonds, we're worried about a lot of things, a lot of characters, and you're just constantly worried about something in this film. And that's what I really liked about this. It's just, you're on the edge of your seat. Even though it's not an action movie, there's always something to get you worried, there's always something to get you involved, and so always something keeping you watching. And to top it off, Adam Sandler was fantastic. And then number 5 is Shazam. Now, I'm not a massive fan of DC movies. I think DC movies can be dark at times. Aquaman wasn't dark, but it was a little bit too goofy for me. I think that Shazam gave us that right amount of goofiness, that right amount of comedy, and with the subject matter as well. I think that they worked very well with how the movie progressed. There was some serious moments in it, some serious heartfelt moments as well, but I think one good thing about this was the casting of Zachary Levi as Shazam. He completely knocked it out of the park, as I thought he would. I was a massive fan of Chuck back in the day, and I was excited to see him come back to a big role, and Shazam was one fantastic role for him. He buffed out. I did hear that he was wearing a muscle suit throughout the movie as well, but he genuinely is in good shape now as well. He's not that skinny guy from Chuck anymore. But with Zachary Levi aside, the storyline was great, the characters were very witty, and the script was excellent as well. So yeah, top notch to Shazam. I was very surprised. And then number 4 is Alita Battle Angel. Now this was another surprise for me because I wasn't expecting myself to like this film. I'm not into the whole manga style stuff. Is this a manga film? I don't know. It looks like one of those manga comic books that I didn't read, don't know anything about. So I went into this film not expecting much from it. I know that Robert Rodriguez can be a hit and a miss as well. I love The Faculty, but I know he does like Spy Kids and stuff like that. So he is a hit and a miss, and it was a massive hit for Alita Battle Angel. This movie was all out action. The graphics as well, I think this cost about $150 million or something, or $140 million, and the graphics in this was amazing. Like, I've seen movies that cost $250 million that don't have anywhere near as good a graphics as Alita, and they had to count on the graphics in this movie as well because Alita was almost completely computerized. In fact, she was 100% computerized, and so was the world around it. Even though Alita was this computer generated character, you still got behind her, you still felt for this character, and you felt for her more than the humans in this film, like Jennifer Connelly and Christoph Waltz. And again, speaking of those two, this is a really good cast as well. A cast you wouldn't expect to have. You wouldn't expect to get these actors for this style of movie, but they got them and they all done a great job. So yeah, Alita Battle Angel was excellent. And then number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's probably in my top 3 actors of all time. He has been since What's Eating Gilbert Grape, so he's been one of my best actors for a good 25-26 years. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is no exception, but it's not his best performance I've ever seen. He didn't shine in this film, but it was excellent. Brad Pitt was amazing in this film, and so was everybody else. The story that Quentin Tarantino tells is a perfect story for someone like Leonardo DiCaprio. So I just love the way this movie pans out. You've got this true story that you're expecting to happen at the very end. You're expecting it to be this true story that they go step by step to the very end, knowing what's going to happen. And I just remember all the way through this film seeing certain things that were happening that happened in real life, and I'm saying to my wife when I'm watching, I'm like, oh no, this is when this happens, this is when that happens. And it does, right up until the very end, until the twist happens. I'm not going to mention the twist, but the twist, even though it was a twist, it was very silly. It fit the type of movie that this movie already was. Even though this was a goofy movie, even though it shouldn't be, it was a goofy movie that worked all the way through, and a classic Quentin Tarantino film. And then number 2 is Avengers Endgame. Now, although this is number 2, I'm disappointed that it isn't my number 1. I expected this to be my number 1, and in fact when the movie came out I thought nothing's going to beat this all year because it is an outstanding movie. It is my favourite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie by far. I like it a lot more than Infinity War as well. It's one of those movies with more heart. I mention heart quite a lot because that's what I like to see in my movies, regardless if it's a horror, action, comic book. It needs to have that heart. You need to connect with this movie, and we connect with this movie perfectly because it is 10 years in the making, or 11 years in the making now, and it's just everything that happens in this film, you feel like you've been taking on this journey for 11 years. You feel like you're part of the Avengers. Every character that we see on screen, we know every character on screen. They didn't rush all the characters. Some of the characters are a little bit rushed, but most of the characters aren't. So when you're watching them on screen, when you see things happen, you feel for them. When someone dies, you feel their pain. That's how perfect a movie this was. And that's what it was. It was a perfect movie and it was a masterpiece, just not my number one. And then number one is Joker. And I'm surprised to say this, guys, but I think that Joaquin Phoenix, watching it for a couple of times, Joaquin Phoenix is better than Heath Ledger. And I'm not saying he's better than him overall, I just think he done a better job with his Joker than Heath Ledger done with his Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker will never be forgotten. His Joker was absolutely amazing. Joaquin Phoenix was different, and for me, different in a better way. This is more of a character study. It wasn't just having a Joker in a movie and him doing certain things. This was a movie about the Joker, about how he became the way he was, the mentally disturbed guy that Arthur is. And this is one of those character study movies. It lasted over 2 hours for a guy that you feel sorry for, and you're not supposed to feel sorry for him. Forget all the everything that happened in the media with all the controversy. That didn't really happen in real life. This movie, everything that happened in this movie can happen in real life. It doesn't mean we're going to go out and copy it. But because everything that happened in this movie can happen in real life, that's what makes this film so realistic. It was an unrealistic character put into a realistic world, just like they did with the Dark Knight movies, the Dark Knight trilogy. It was an unrealistic story put into a realistic world, and that's what they've done with the Joker. But they went deeper with that. They went deeper with his character, and we felt sorry for him. Joaquin Phoenix, I say this quite a lot. I've seen a lot of masterpiece movies and I've seen a lot of great acting from great actors. But this is one of the, not only is this the best performance and the best movie of the year, but the Joaquin Phoenix performance is one of the best I've ever seen. And because of his performance, that's why this movie is number one. Without Joaquin Phoenix, I don't know where Joker would be on my list. It could still be in my top 10, but because of him, and solely because of him, this is my number one. He carries this movie. There's times where he's on screen for 5-10 minutes himself, talking to himself, making gestures, knowing what he's thinking just from his movements. That's how great he was. I could talk about Joker all day. I didn't do a movie review for it because it isn't a horror movie, but I don't want to do a movie review for it. I just want to give you my mini review, but this was an absolute masterpiece. So that is my top 10 non-horror movies of 2019, guys. Like I said, I haven't seen all the movies in 2019. Off the top of my head, I haven't seen The Irishman, and I know that's in a lot of people's top 10s. That may very well be in my top 10 eventually, but as this video has been recorded, I couldn't put it on it because I haven't seen it. But the top 10 that I put down is my confirmed top 10 of the year. As always, guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know your top 10 movies of the year. Try and leave out the horror movies because we already discussed that in my horror top 10. So let me know your non-top 10 horror movies of the year. And as always, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.